Common question we get when we sit down with folks is, how do I compare to my peers? Many folks are curious as to how much they have saved versus their peers or other in their cohort groups. So while this is a common question, I want to tell you, just like I tell them when we meet, that it's not really relevant to your retirement plan. However, as humans, we're always curious. So today we're going to run through those numbers. But please remember, as Theodore Roosevelt taught us, comparison is the thief of joy. If we haven't met already, I'm Josh Leonard with the Leonard Advisory Group. We specialize in retirement planning. Most of our clients come to us 1 to 7 years out of retirement, and we help them transition into retirement with intent. Our clients tend to stay with us throughout retirement as we can provide ongoing service to help make sure that they stay successful in retirement. Now, I've started this YouTube channel to help reach out to folks like yourself that maybe aren't able to work with us, but would like to learn more to have a successful retirement. Before we jump into the numbers, let's talk through some general retirement benchmarks. The first one I'm going to jump into on the screen here is Fidelity age-based milestones. So Fidelity, through their research, tells us the appropriate amount that we should be saving based on average ages. The first age band we see here is anyone age 30 and below. In this age band, our goal should be to try to save 1 times our annual income. If we look at the next band up, age 35, that becomes 2 times our annual income. If we look down here by age 50, it should be 6 times our annual income. If you're someone nearing retirement, you might be age 55, age 60, or maybe even falling into the last category we have here, age 67. In that case, you'll need 7, 8, maybe even 10 times your annual income based on these age milestones. Another piece that I wanted to run through, or another general financial planning rule, is what we call the 4% rule. It's a great way to get a general gauge of how much you might be able to spend off of your retirement portfolio in retirement. So what is the 4% withdrawal rule? Well, it states that we can take 4% of our portfolio out sustainably with a 2% adjustment for inflation throughout retirement. So for example, if you have retirement savings of $1 million, we take that $1 million and we multiply it by 4%. That would tell us that we could take $40,000 out per year of those retirement accounts throughout retirement with a 2% annual adjustment for inflation. So if we multiply that by 2%, that $40,000 by 2%, we would have $800 more in the second year, or our second year income would be $40,800. So we get an extra $800 to help keep up with inflation. Now, at the time of recording this, inflation's been high the last few years. Abnormally high if we look over the last 10 plus years. So this is one of the common criticisms of the 4% rule, is sometimes that 2% adjustment for inflation isn't enough. Another common criticism of the 4% rule is its inability to factor in lumpy expenses. Maybe you're looking at buying a second home early in retirement or traveling more in retirement and then slowing down, maybe staying at home more later in retirement. Another common criticism is a sequence of returns. If you happen to retire in a bad stock market environment, taking that stable amount out of your portfolio could have a larger impact than someone in your peer group with the same amount of money, taking the same amount out, retiring in a series of good years. It might have an outsized impact amongst a peer that retires in a relatively good market when the stock market is gaining a lot and they're taking that stable amount out. So again, the 4% rule is a general rule and can help us frame some of these dollar amounts that we're going to talk through here. Before we jump into those exact numbers, let's talk about mean and median. So for many of us watching this, it's been a little bit since we've been in a math class, so we might forget what mean versus median is. When we talk about averages, most people think of the mean. The mean is taken by adding up a series of numbers and dividing by how many of those numbers are in there. So for example, we have 5 people's retirement savings here. Person 1 has $50,000, the second person has $150,000, the third $250,000, the fourth $550,000, and the fifth $5 million. If we add up all those figures and then we subsequently divide that by 5, so the sum divided by 5, would mean our average is $1.2 million. Now, if instead we use the median is the middle value in a series of numbers when lined up in order, that would give us an average of $250,000. So the numbers I'm about to run through are the median, not the mean. The reason that I chose that data set is I think it's more relevant for the average retiree looking or benchmarking to their peer group. Otherwise, we are letting Elon Musk, Bill Gates, all these billionaires or ultra wealthy people offset our data set or throw off our averages. So we're going to use a median here. Now, when we look through the data set, I pulled this data from the Federal Reserve. They have data around retirement accounts by average age of the reference person. Now again, since our specialty is those people nearing retirement, I'm going to focus a lot more on those older age groups. This first data set that I have on the screen here shows those less than 35, and they have about $18,880 saved on average in retirement accounts. So I'd say that's below the Fidelity benchmark. If we sum up the age groups based on the data sets from the Federal Reserve, we can see average retirement savings, average being the median for those less than 35, is $18,880. For those 35 to 44, it's $45,000. For those 45 to 54, it's $115,000. And for those 55 to 64, it's $185,000. Those 65 to 74, $200,000. And those 75 plus, about $130,000. So we could say that older age group, we're looking at withdrawing from the portfolio at that time. So that might make sense that it's lower. If we look at a retirement age maybe of 65 to age 67, that age group would tell us that on average people have about $200,000 in retirement savings. If we look at some typical retirement ages, let's say age 65 or the time when you can first go on to Medicare, that number of average retirement savings would be $200,000. In that same age band, we have age 67, which for most folks is their full retirement age, or the age in which they can get their full Social Security benefit. Also a very common time to retire. If you enjoy your work and maybe you decide to work a little bit later, age 70 also falls into this same age band, the age in which you get your max Social Security benefit. Again, quick reminder, if you're not taking Social Security by age 70, you need to. There's no additional benefit for deferring it past age 70. Now jumping back into the numbers. If the average retiree in that age band that we talked about has about $200,000 in there, that would tell us with the 4% rule, they could sustainably withdraw $8,000 for the first year of retirement. Again, that's using the 8% rule. Now again, these are all average numbers. Let's not take this video and say, oh, I have to work forever, or oh, I'm over-prepared for retirement. A retirement plan needs to be developed with a financial professional, someone that you can trust, someone that you can lean on to give you personal financial advice. These general numbers or averages are just that. They are something to benchmark to or maybe use as a frame of reference. However, your personal needs could be drastically different. Maybe you have far less in retirement savings because you have a very strong pension or other sources of income in retirement. Maybe you have rental properties, or maybe you plan to continue working in a small business or starting a small business or working part-time. Everyone's financial plan is very different. As we look through these average numbers, it's important to keep in mind that these are averages. This does not mean that you are on track for retirement or off track for retirement. You need to meet with a financial professional that you can lean on to help build a financial plan to help you target your appropriate retirement savings. If you're thinking of retiring next year and you have not gone through a proper retirement preparation analysis with a financial advisor, I encourage you to do so to make sure that you are prepared to retire with intent. Thanks for watching today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any feedback on the video, feel free to leave it in the comments or leave suggestions for future videos.